Good afternoon. Welcome to Lunchtime series, where we add value to people's lives, happening every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday on ebuzzradio.com at 12 o'clock, guys. The Lunchtime series is also available on all major podcast channels. And today, for our Lunchtime coaching segment, we have a wonderful, amazing woman who is going to chat to us about the ultimate resilience, the spirit of picking yourself up and getting through things and going through some really tough times. And welcome to the show, Cindy Alter.
Hi, it's awesome to be here. Thank you for asking me to tell some of my stories.
Absolutely. Cindy, so for anyone listening out there, and for people, for those who don't know you, don't you want to give us a bit of background, who you are, and more about you?
Sure. So for those that don't know who I am, which is, I'm sure, many, I've been a musician my whole life, I believe, and I always say this, that music chose me when I was born. Yeah. Followed the arts, studied drama and speech and drama and all that stuff. And I didn't find acting bug caught me, but the music bug did, and started playing guitar at like the age of 10 and just kept going. And then I met a guitar teacher who was helping me out, and he took me to some of the coffee bars, and that's when I started playing publicly. And from then on, it was like meeting people, like-minded people, sort of along the way, eventually culminating in meeting these girls that were looking for a guitarist and a background singer for a band that they were putting together, an all-girl band in South Africa, 1977.
Oh, wow.
That's a long time ago.
Long before the Spice Girls even knew they were going to be a band.
I mean, everybody just copied us.
There you go.
But still, it was definitely long before the Spice Girls. So the band was eventually called Clout. Our first single was a song called Substitute, and it just went viral. And it was a very, very crazy time. It was full on.
Sorry to interrupt, but no. Most people know Clout. And if you don't, then you're living under a rock.
Well, there's a lot of young people that'll say, like, what? And then we play the song and they go, hey, I know that song. Yeah. So I get that a lot at gigs because there's a lot of young people at my shows. And they just start, and I tell them a bit of the story, the backstory. And they all just go like, well, Clout, whatever. And then they get it, and that's kind of cool. And Clout was it was larger than life. We broke all the barriers, the apartheid barriers. We broke all the boycotts. We also were at the start of the women's movement. Women were starting to say, yeah, look at me, look what I can do. And it was beautiful. It was a really special time of life for all of us. The very sort of late 70s, where we were all starting to ask questions, not just take what everybody was giving us, including politically, obviously, in South Africa. And after Clout's 4-year blitz, we'd just broken into the American top 100, and our manager had kind of milked us dry, so to speak.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I've got a bit of a hay fever thing going on. No. And, one by one, the dominoes were falling, and the band disbanded. I sat there going, what just happened? I fell to my knees, literally, and said, now what? Where? I've just been a big pop star on stages across Europe. I've just sold 10 million albums. And now what do I do? And I just met a new boyfriend, and he said, hey, let's start a band. And we started a band with this other guy, and we called it Syndicate. And American producer liked it. The guy who used to produce the Runaways, which was also an all-girl band, Kim Fowley, his name was. And subsequently, I did some recording with him. Then it morphed into a Cindy Alter band. Then it morphed into one of the first multiracial bands in the country called Zia. That was fun. That was crazy. Toying in the townships was really good. I'm so glad I didn't get arrested, but I did get into a bit of trouble. So it was crazy times. And again, so each time these things were happening, if you look at it on a scale of trauma, 1 to 10, the trauma started early. I mean, the end of Clout was so traumatic. It was so agonizingly painful. And what was I going to do? You know, fall on my knees literally and just stay there, or just get up? And I got up. And I think also what happens with resilient people, stoic people, people that just go, I'm going to just keep going, I'm just going to keep going, is that we store our trauma.
Yeah.
We store it, and we sort of keep it for later, you know, I'm going to deal with it later. And then that's that story. So from one thing to the other, I mean, Zia, the multiracial band, was doing so well. We were touring France. We opened for the Bee Gees. We were asked to tour with them. And our record company said, we haven't got budget for that. And I'm like, is this really happening? Another big trauma in my life.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I'm going to go live in America. I've always wanted to. I'm going. I'm taking my 2 suitcases and my guitar. And I went to America. And all my dreams and all my hopes were all in that bag, you know.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. I didn't get picked up by a record company. I was already too old.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fetus, you know what I'm saying? And there was another girl with a 12-string guitar called Melissa Etheridge. It's like, oh no, that's just too many. I'm like, what are you talking about? Anyway, I had to stand up again, get up off the floor again, because what was I going to do? Was I going to just lie there and sort of fade away? And I'd already been through a very traumatic relationship with my boyfriend before I left South Africa. And that was with all the, didn't want to be here on this planet anymore, on this earth anymore, because it's just too much.
Yeah, so I'm like going, like you mentioned, so you go through really highs, really highs.
Yeah.
Where you have the potential of becoming, you know, world famous.
Yes.
And you were doing so well, selling 10 million albums. Like that's astronomical, you know. So, and you're kind of going, you go through that sort of disbands, and then you go through another one with Zia, and that's also not working. That essentially, you know, it knocks your confidence, it knocks your self-esteem, it knocks your chutzpah, your ongoing want to kind of do anything, and then it leads to a little bit more of a difficult time, right?
Big time, because once again, you've just stored your trauma, you just put it away. During the abusive relationship, I tried to kill myself. As I said, didn't want to be here anymore. Carried on. America, I had to sort of relearn everything. I started from scratch. I realized my songwriting was more important than anything. So the singer-songwriter thing happened. I loved it. I playing with Kenny Loggins and Olivia Newton-John and Sophie B. Hawkins, and I'm having a big jaw. And that's that.
Yeah.
Cut off again. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to move to Nashville because I'm a songwriter. And I decided to go to Nashville to start making my plans. And then I get cancer, leukemia, and I'm dying. And I'm like, oh, okay. So what's been the point of everything? You ask yourself. The only question I have never asked myself is, why me? Because the why me takes you into victim mode. Yeah. And one thing I have, through every trauma, through every battering, through every low, I have never seen myself or thought of myself as a victim.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very fine line between victor and victim.
So I mean, I find that interesting because, you know, going through all the trauma and holding on to it and eventually getting to a point where you're wanting to commit suicide, but yet you don't feel like a victim. How do you reconcile? And I want to just touch on that, because I think, a lot of people out there, I look at the pandemic and what it's done to people's businesses, as you would know.
Yes.
The how that's affected people, and what people, they just feel like they absolutely in complete despair. How did you what led you to that point of going, yeah, I just don't want to be here anymore? Like, what was that process for you? And how did you literally kind of go, okay, that didn't work. How do I pick myself up? Like, where do you find that ability to kind of just keep on going? What was that for you?
For me, I believe every one of us has a warrior inside of us.
Yeah.
The one with the shield and the one with the spear, the spear and the shield. And that warrior comes to our defense when we least expect it. And sometimes it comes to our defense when we don't want it even.
Yeah.
Makes you defensive, So how do you tell this warrior when to come and when not to come? It's like, just go play in the forest for a while, because I don't need you right now.
Yeah.
So I think the warrior definitely comes to the forefront at our most dire moments, when we don't expect it. If you ask people who have been the drug addict that was lying on the floor in Hillbrow, people were walking over her, literally, and she just looked up and said, it's enough now.
Yeah.
Her warrior just stood up and just said, it's time. So something inside us all, pre-programmed, something you grow up with, even the little kid that gets abused as a child gets some kind of resilience later in life. Either they become an abuser, a victim, or a warrior.
Yeah.
So I think we are predestined to take care of ourselves.
And essentially, the fact that we have this, as from your perspective, having this warrior, do you believe, like, people who are going through something traumatic, something that is really putting them into a space of complete, like, I don't know how to get out of this, what do you say to them? Do you say, just give yourself a bit of time, speak to someone? What is that advice you would give? Like, what did you do for that?
I didn't speak to anybody for quite some time. I did eventually, after I ended up in hospital after my last suicide attempt, darling, I was in hospital, and a social worker came in and said, you need to get help. So she was my warrior.
Yeah.
People say an angel, some angel. Yeah. An angel, just one person saying something to you. And I went to see a therapist, and she was brilliant. And she definitely put me on the right track and saved my life there and then. Excuse me, sorry.
Not a problem. Yeah, and it's I always, when you hear stories like that, you kind of go, I think some people sometimes think that they don't have options. But
always options.
On the other side of that, you realize, no, I actually had more options than I thought I did.
You just said it, because I didn't think I had options. When I did that final one for me, I wrote the notes to everybody, put my bank cards in an envelope with the direct instructions and everything. Did the whole thing, because I had no option.
Yeah.
That was it. It was done. And then the hospital, having my stomach pumped and all that crap. And somebody saying to me, you need help. you need to reach out.
Mm.
And there, as I've said all along, that we store this stuff and we think we can handle it, and we can to a degree, because people can handle things. We are very strong. But eventually it's like, I can't anymore. I just can't.
Yeah.
And that's the moment that something comes or it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because some people do die.
Yeah.
Some people do get into such dire straits that they cannot come back from that.
Yeah.
I don't know who chooses.
Mm.
You know, we like to think that there's a God or a Jesus or somebody, you know, but it's bigger than that.
Mm.
There's some great spirit out there, you know, but I don't believe anybody out there chooses. We choose.
Invariably, yeah, we do, right?
Invariably, we choose. And I could have said, bugger you, don't tell me what to do. I know what I'm doing. I'm not going to see anybody. I don't need help.
Mm.
I could have done that, but I didn't. So I chose. You know, I chose to go for help, and it really, that worked for me then. I've not been for therapy since, and I probably should have gone maybe sometimes, but, you know, different times.
So, I mean, so you go through this trauma, you go through this suicide attempt. You also then have a moment in life where you're going through illness, and you know you have to now deal with leukemia, and I mean that's a whole
Sure.
ball game, because you kind of
Yeah.
it brings a whole additional trauma. You also now have to kind of you haven't died yet, and now you have this trauma that you now need to deal with. I can't even imagine what that's like.
It is quite unimaginable. Because firstly, I mean, everybody's cancer journey is different. You know, people say, what did you do and everything? I say, please trust me. What I did was for me. I can't tell you what to do for you. You know, everybody's journey will be different. But I do know that I kind of went like, listen, I've been trying to kill myself for years. And now all of a sudden you've taken it out of my hands and you've decided that I'm going to die.
Yeah.
Like, kind of bugger you, you know? So I got quite bloody indignant.
Yeah, rightfully so. It's like, what's going on here?
So
Yeah.
indignant, but not to the point of being a twit.
Yeah.
You know, I was very conscious of what was going on. I decided from the beginning. I said, look, because the doctor said, we're going to try and save you. Of course, we're going to do everything. We're going to kick your butt. If we can get you into remission, that's a good sign. If we can't, then it's gone too far.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I know I'm going to die one day. I'm going to die. I said, it's how I live until I die.
Yeah.
So right now, I'm just throwing it up to the gods, and I'm like, I'm going to fight my best fight without being, I'm going to fight this thing, because that is like, that's too much bloody angst and anger and bleh, you know, that's enough. Then you got to deal with that as well. I'm dealing with my anger about this thing, and I'm so pissed off. And it's like, wait a second, you haven't got time to deal with all that shit. Yeah. Just take a deep breath and surrender. That was the big word for me.
Yes.
Surrender. Phew. That was huge for me, because it's
not easy to do, though, right?
Not easy.
You've gone through so much, and you're kind of going, okay, well, what else is there, right? Like, just surrender to this.
Surrender. Yeah. And I thought, I'm just going to let go. And this cancer is going to be my buddy. I'm going to make friends with this cancer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay. So it's not my enemy, and I've got all that anger. I hate you. Get out of my life. Get out of my body. I hate you. I didn't want to deal, as I said, those emotions are a waste.
Yeah.
It's a waste of your anger. It's a waste of your everything. And a why me, and you can ask for the rest of your life, and nobody's going to tell you why you. Nobody's going to tell you.
Yeah.
So I tried to conserve the energy that I was needing for the fight.
Yeah, because it's a moment of really wanting to be kind and just kind of get to like that surrender and kind of go, I don't want to be part of that fighting spirit energy anymore. I want to tap into something else.
I wanted to try and do it as peacefully as possible. And when my friends used to come in with that little look, oh, how are you? I said, please don't do that.
Yeah.
Please. Just come in, talk to me like a human being. They all did that. They were like, Carl, nobody shaved their heads. I don't want anybody to shave their bloody heads. For what? Why must you shave your head because I've got no hair?
Yeah.
It's like, nah. A waste again, another waste of stupidity, stupid energy that's to me. And some other person will say, oh, my whole family shaved their heads and I felt so beautiful. And I'm happy for you, and I'm not mocking it, I swear to God.
Yeah.
You know, but for me, if somebody had shaved their head, I would have punched them. You know, so why are you bloody shaving your head? So there was a lot of negotiating going on with me. My doctors were amazing. My nurses were like out of this world. They were compassionate, excellent at their jobs. They knew what to give me, when, how, blah, blah, blah. And I went through all the real bad stuff. It's like, look, we're going to have to give you this stuff. It might give you something called red man syndrome, where your whole body goes red. I'm like, that's not going to happen to me. Nah, that's not going to happen to me. I swear to you, what happens? Cindy gets red man syndrome. Okay, and then we got to give you this other thing. It could make you very itchy. It might not. Cindy gets the itchy. So it's like, it wasn't easy. I promise you it was not easy.
No, I can't even.
It was not freaking easy. And the worst part was the transplant. I decided to have a bone marrow transplant because they said that's the only way that there is an 80% chance that you are going to survive. The rest is, without the bone marrow transplant, it's coming back next week. It'll come back next month. It'll come back in a year. It's coming back, and it's eventually going to kill you because it's that kind of aggressive disease. So I opted for the bone marrow transplant. We couldn't find a good donor for me. My brother was sort of close, but not enough. My sister, totally not close. My father, no. He was already too old. And so they decided, they were experimenting with stem cells. And they decided to use my own stem cells, put them back in my body. And you think, well, but they've got cancer in them. But wait, they kick you so hard with chemo, radiation, every medicine they can think of to get that cancer out of you to that minute of that day when they start taking your stem cells out of you. And they have to have 5 million stem cells.
Sure.
First day, I only gave them like 10,000. I'm like, oh, how long is this going to take? Second day, more. And the third day, they got all their stem cells. Then they irradiate them, obviously, make sure they got no cancer in them. And then they freeze them. Sure. And something like 21 days later, exactly, it's a certain protocol, they put them back in. That was from the minute they started the radiation till when I started healing, like 3, 4, 5 months later. That was the worst time of my life. I thought that then I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die because I was so weak I could hardly walk.
Sure.
You know, I would force myself every day to go and have a shower and wash my face and put my creams on. Force. And it took me the showers from here to, say, your cupboard, you know, or just a little further. And it would take me like 30 minutes almost to get there. And I would get there and sit on a chair in the shower and just sit there for like 10, 15 minutes and then turn on the shower and then wash and then turn off the shower and just sit there. Then I had to dry myself and then I had to walk back. And by then I was out, finished. They had to give me something for the nausea. I couldn't even talk. I was vomiting and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, this is it.
Yeah.
This is my time. This is now when I'm going to die. And again, I didn't bloody die.
I must just say, I love the fact that we can laugh at a situation, because, you know, I remember, just to a side note, when my mom died. My mom was my best friend, and she died a while back. And I remember just in that moment, just realizing that I have such high disregard for death, because it's so final, and it's so from this side of the coin, it's so pointless. You know, it's like, so like you've just had this life and now you're just gone.
Yes.
And you know, to your point of laughing at it, today I take a very different stance on, you know, speaking about death, and, you know, almost mocking it, kind of going, you know what, we're gonna die, like, it's like whatever, and having a light conversation, because it's we invariably make it so heavy, and the fact that you can go, well, I haven't died yet, like it's so refreshing, actually.
But it's real when you think about it. I mean, it is inevitable. And if you're going to fear it for your whole life, you're spending so much energy on fear.
Yeah.
And worry, and what's it going to feel like when I die? I don't care what it feels like when I die, because when I die, I won't care. It's like, I don't care. I'm dying. Let me just die. It's finished.
But I mean, just to get back to that story you were sharing, so like you've traveled the world, you went to America, you did that whole thing, you've gone through all this stuff. In between all of that, I mean, you went to Nashville.
Yeah.
What happened in Nashville? Did you really reach successes in Nashville, or what happened to that? Songwriting?
I have the most weirdest experiences, okay, where everybody freaks out and tells me I'm the best thing since sliced jam.
Yeah.
But nothing happens.
Yeah.
This is my life. This has been my life. And so after that happening a lot of times, that people have told you how amazing you are and how good you are and how they love your songs and they love everything, but you don't get anywhere. You're still freaking, you know, trying to pay the rent every month, and you're driving a simple car, and you're not living in a penthouse, and you don't have zillions of dollars and all that stuff. You can't believe the story anymore.
Yeah.
You can't look in the mirror and say, you are amazing because look at you. Look how well you've done. Because there's no benchmark for me. How well have I done? I've missed all these amazing opportunities. Not intentionally missed them. They just were not meant to be for me.
Yeah.
And maybe one day somebody will pick up on one of my songs and record it, and it'll be a big hit. I'm not going to stop just because I don't know if anything's ever going to happen for me. Yeah. And this has been this year for me. This year has been a year of huge disappointment for me. And I have asked myself, why? Firstly, why did I even survive any of the suicide things? Secondly, why did I survive the leukemia? Why am I still here to be in misery and pain and hell? For what reason? To make me stronger? I'm strong. I don't need to be more powerful or more strong or have another tattoo, you know?
Yeah.
It's enough. It gets to a point where you look at yourself and you go, it's enough. I've had enough. And then what do?
Yeah.
I'm sitting here. This is where I am right now today. And I'm looking at the world and I'm going, I have to release the past completely. I have to, not erase it, because you cannot.
Let go, yeah.
You just I've got to just the past is of no consequence because it's done and dusted. So whatever happened then, what didn't happen, it is what it is.
And I listen to that, and I think because it's so easy to measure failure, we measure how much we failed according to what hasn't happened.
Yes.
And that's easier.
Much easier.
As humans, we just tend to hold on to it. But I mean, what do you do now? So where do you find that spirit? Like, where do you find that ongoing, I'm going to kick ass today. How do you do that?
I had that epiphany today.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
It's so weird because I have not had it for so long. I have been looking at myself as having had a sort of a worthless existence.
Yeah.
And everything I tried failed in its way. And other people say, don't be ridiculous. You've had so many amazing accomplishments. And I have. But it's like, what? So now I'm looking at the thing and I'm going, what is it you really want to make you feel that you've accomplished something? What has to happen to Cindy Alter to make her feel like her life has been worthwhile?
Yeah.
And that happened today.
Wow.
That was today. That was, now I've got to really dig deep and say, is it that hit record? Or is it just having given, sorry, this thing keeps conting. It's telling me I've got an interview with you now. I love it.
Just reminding you.
I'm turning it off.
But I mean, that's to have that profound conversation. I think so many people need to hear that. They like when you kind of go, what is it that you need? What is it that I need? Because life is not happening then or then. Life is happening right now.
Now. In front of us.
Yeah, in this moment. You and I are sitting on this camera right now. This is life. This is it. There's tomorrow we'll get to tomorrow. But right now, life is here. And what needs to happen for you to feel like, oh, this is it. This is the moment I've been waiting for.
Well, that's where I'm sitting right now. I'm sitting there and I'm going, speak to me. Just speak to me. Whatever voices are out there, I ask for guidance.
Yeah.
And it's not religious. It's just saying there's got to be, I do believe very much that we get signs and messages in our lives. We might not see them, we might not know, but we get signs and we get messages. And today, I went and had some dinner with my father. It's the fast, it's Yom Kippur. And I don't fast, but it's a sacred time of this tribe, the Jewish tribe.
Yeah.
And I've got sacred times of all kinds of tribes, from Buddhism, from Sufia. I like a lot of stuff that rings true. It doesn't have to be my religion. It can be Christianity. It can be something that rings true and something that speaks to you. And I had this beautiful, amazing conversation with my 90-year-old father. When he said to me, I've just felt so bad for you your whole life because you've been so good and so clever and just missed it every time. And I thought to myself, my father has seen this. He has acknowledged this. And what am I going to do with that?
Yeah.
Am I going to go, oh my God, everybody knows that I've failed and I'm never going to have anything in my life, or they're going to pity me, or they're going to judge me, because this business is very judgmental.
Yeah.
It's very judgmental. It's like, oh, have you seen Cindy? She's put on some weight, not looking so good. It's all that stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly. And my father didn't judge me. It wasn't like he was in sympathy with me. He just stated a fact, and that's what it was. It was a fact.
Yeah.
And it just sat with me, and I just went, okay. So now what?
Yeah.
So now what? That is where I'm starting today.
Well, it's a good split. It's a good space to start, right?
I'm waiting for the messages, waiting for the signs. Something you say could be a message to me.
So, I mean, Cindy, on that note, if we had to like share, because I like you saying, as much as we can't let all of that past be the defining factors of our lives, and we have to get to a point where we kind of go, well, what is it that I need? What advice would you give other people out there? Especially musicians, especially people who are running their own business, doing their own thing.
Yes.
What do you think? If you had to give people 3 pieces of advice today, what could they do and stick to and live by?
I think you got to look in the mirror firstly. That's the first thing. Look in the mirror and look at yourself. Because not a lot of us do that. We'll look in the mirror and, I'm going to shave, guys, or girl, I'm going to put my makeup on. Look properly at yourself and ask yourself what you need. Because self is the one that's going to really be the first answer. Because we get instincts. We were given instinct. And in this life, we don't listen to our instincts because we're so busy or we're so traumatized. I mean, my instinct went flying out the window when COVID started because everything just goes, what do you mean? Everything I thought of and everything I thought I knew is gone. It's finished.
So definitely look yourself in the mirror.
Look in the mirror and just say, talk to me. Tell me what you need. I want to connect with self again. So by connecting with self, that is the only place you can honestly be truthful.
Yeah.
Because if you start lying to yourself, telling yourself, oh, I'm just going to look quickly and then I'm just going to go because I know what to do. I've got it down, man. I know. I'm just going to do this and do that. So really give yourself some time. I think time is a very explicit thing. I would say that's the first thing. Look in the mirror, ask yourself what you want.
Yeah.
I also believe strongly in meditation or quiet or some place that makes you feel good. Go somewhere that makes you feel peaceful and calm and strong. Somewhere that connects to your spirit, to your soul.
Yeah.
And just sit quietly because then the messages start coming. The silliest thing might come into your head, like buy a dog. It's like, what? I don't want a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe you need to get a dog, And the third thing is just stop being so bloody hard on yourself. We are I have got tools here that you would think I'm running an S&M studio. Okay.
Yeah.
And they are virtual tools. Okay. They're all virtual. I've got a big cat of 9 tails. I've got a whip with nails on it. And whenever I'm feeling shitty, oh boy, they come out and bang. It's not enough that I feel like crap. Yeah. Oh, I must give myself more crap. I must punch myself in the face a few times. And I'm only happy when my nose is bleeding. And I'm only happy when I'm crying my eyes out. And I've got lumps all over. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Stop the self-flagellation.
Yeah. I love that. And thank you. Yeah, looking at, it's something I often, when I do a lot of training and coaching sessions,
yes,
I actually get people to look at themselves on their phone. Just take a picture of yourself on your phone and look at yourself. And I love that that's some of the advice you're giving today, because it all starts with self. And also, just be a little bit kinder to yourself. Like, take yourself off the nasty list, or take yourself off the, like, let's beat myself up because I didn't do this or didn't get to that. It's so important, that self-talk, that conversation I'm having. If we have to find out more about what you're doing, and where we can chat with you and find out more, and ask you to, I don't know, like, come have a bit of a performance, what are you doing currently?
I'm performing. I also do a bit of education stuff. So I do some lectures at, like, say, Academy of Sound Engineering, some schools, that kind of thing. I like to talk music life with kids, because there's so much relation between life and music. And and it helps them with their trauma. It's like therapy in a way, but it's not therapy. And we talk about music, and I show them some stagecraft, and we get into it, and we write a song, and I like to do that a lot. That's my new thing. And I've just done a jewelry line. It's just got lyrics from songs of mine that people have, you said earlier the word thrive. I'd written the song called Thrive. And it's become quite a big, it's an underground song. I mean, it's played on the radio a little bit, but it's more that there's a lot of people that know about it. And I have this jewelry with Thrive on it, and there's another song of mine called Tightrope, and it's all available on Cindy Alter Live Entertainment Facebook page.
Okay, fantastic.
I have a website, but I mean, people, they go to the website, they take a look around. Rather connect with me on Facebook.
And just say that name again.
Instagram also. Yeah. Sorry.
That name again is Cindy Alter.
Cindy Alter Live Entertainment.
Live Entertainment. Cindy Alter Live Entertainment. Cindy, thank you. Guys, if you are listening and you want to check it out, I love that you have lyrics on jewelry. That's really cool. If you want to find out more about Cindy and chat to Cindy, go and check it out on Facebook. And all the description of everything we're talking about will be in the links below. So, Cindy, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being so open and honest, and sharing who you are and what you do. It's an amazing story. And yeah, it really speaks to such an amazing spirit of your life. It's just beautiful.
Thank you so much for that. That is really lovely, and I've enjoyed this so much. And thank you for having shows like this that we can get to talk our stuff on.
Absolutely. That the aim is to part of the theme of what we do here is to add value to people's lives, and having a good conversation, and one person takes something out of this, we've done something. We've added, and that's the aim. So thank you for being so willing to share that.
Thank you for asking me. I appreciate it so much. Have a great evening.
Cindy, thank you so much. I'll chat to you soon, and have a wonderful evening further.
Good night, everybody.
Cheers for now.
Bye.